Sound listening ଦେଖିବ Good afternoon. So we are late by some 5 minutes. We shall be starting with a new chapter today, local self-government in India. It's not for SSC, rather it is for OCS, wrongly mentioned. OCS. That is OCS. So it is local self-government. The meaning of local self-government. It is a title given, definition given by famous social scientist D. Jockwell. Local institutions constitute the strength of free nations. A nation may establish a few systems of free government, but without local institutions, it cannot have the spirit of liberty. So what is exactly local self-government all about? Local self-government is all about the participation of people at the grassroots level in the governance of the country. Because they get wider representation in case of local government. In state government and in central government, people have a rare opportunity to participate directly in the governance of the country. All the governance important decisions are made by the local by the representatives or the government constituting the representatives. So there people do not get adequate space to have their voice heard in the governance of the country. They do not get any adequate space. So therefore the necessity of local government has arisen. The necessity of local government has arisen because people can be able to participate in the local government constructively in the administering their own territories. So that is a kind of things we have to keep in mind. The local self-government introduces participatory democracy in India. It introduces participatory democracy in India. So one prominent social scientist, S.K. De has also said, if we were to build India, work must start from the villages. So this definition clearly mentions about the importance of village administration or local administration in India. Because building new India is invariably related to building villages or its local bodies like municipalities. It enhances people's participation, it gives a new direction to the implementation of developmental projects in the village area, and its speedy and proper implementation is also ensured by local participation. Hence there is a need for democratizing the local administration, and hence the system of Panchayat Raj evolved. Panchayat Raj is otherwise known as democratic decentralization. So local self-government may be categorized into two parts. One is rural local self-government, another is urban local self-government. Okay, that is also a point to be remembered. LSG history or before independence of in industry, we have to understand what is the term of panchayat, that is the meaning. What is the meaning of panchayat? The panchayat literally means means an assembly of five elders. Assembly of five elders. So, the term Panchayat Raj is system or process of government constituting elected members from amongst the Panchayats. So, the Panchayat representatives are the permanent members of the village, and they are elected by the people on the basis of direct elections, and they are involved. The term Panchayat Raj was given prominence by Jawaharlal Nehru. He preferred the term Panchayat Raj in place of democratic decentralization. So, democratic decentralization is a vague term according to Nehru, because democracy begins from the people, or democracy means power springing from the people. So, there is already a decentralization concept inherent in democracy. But Panchayat Raj means the administration of Panchayat by the elected members or elected assembly, that we call Grama Panchayat or Panchayat Samiti or Jilla Parishad. So, that is the term. And if you go back to the history of Panchayat Raj, you will see that villages have always been the basic units of administration in India since ancient time. They have been basic units of administration. They are basic units of administration since ancient times. Obviously, because due to lack of extensive communication and due to lack of extensive transport and communication, there was a need for more concentration on village administration. Okay. So, that is the thing about Panchayat Raj institutions. And in ancient India, there is a mention about Panchayat Raj institution. We can say Panchayat Raj institutions, PRIs, are as old as the Indian civilization. It is as old as Indian civilizations. It were in existence since the onset of civilization in India. There have been mention about village community in ancient times, in ancient scriptures and ancient shastras. We find mentions about Panchayat Raj or Panchayat or village administration enjoying civil and judicial matters. In Rig Veda, in Manu Samhita, in Dharmasastras, Upanishads, and Jatakas. There is extensive mention. There is extensive mention about local administration. That is Panchayat Raj system. In Manusmriti or in Manusahita, Manusmriti and you can say Shanti Parva of Mahabharata, Mahabharata, there are many references. There are many references to the existence of Grama Sanghas or village councils. So, pancha sonusthita is a term you can refer to pancha and pancha va na nanusthita, panchavanusthita, STITAH, panchavanusthita are semantically close to pancha that are mentioned in Shanti Parva of Mahabharata. Okay. Apart from these ancient scriptures, the recorded history of the Arthashastra of Kautilya, Arthashastra of Kautilya also mentions about the village administration and provides a comprehensive account, written in 400 BC. Kautilya, written in 400 BC, provides a comprehensive account of village administration in the time mentioned about in the Arthashastra, Mauryan time. So, this is the authentic evidence of existence of local administration, independent local administration in ancient times. Got it? So, these are the brief account, first phase of brief account of Panchayati Raj, brief history we can say brief history of PRIs in India. So, we have learned that PRIs are as old as Indian civilization, they were mentioned, and during the period of Arthashastra, during the period of Mauryan period, there was mention about village administration were carried out. Administrations were carried out under the supervision and control of Adhyaksha or Gramapati, Adhyaksha or headman. There were officials like Samikhyaka, SAMKHY AKA, Samikhyaka, accountant. There was mention about Samikhyaka, accountant. Anikitsaska, Anikitsaska, village veterinary doctor, doctor, and there are chikitschaka, TSA, anikishchaka and chikitschaka. That is physician. The village headman was responsible for ensuring the collection of state dues and controlling the activities of the offenders. Okay. In Ramayana of Valmiki, in Ramayana of Valmiki, there are reference to Ganapada, there are reference to Ganapada, a unit of village administration, Ganapada, village federation, which was perhaps a kind of federation of village republics, which was a kind of village republic in existence during the ancient times. So, self-governing village institutions characterized by agrarian economies were in existence since ancient times. In Rig Veda, there is mention about village as a basic unit of administration. The most remarkable feature of early Vedic political system is the popular institution of Sabha and Samiti. These two bodies, Sabha and Samiti, there is institution of Sabha and Samiti. These two prominent organizations of ancient India reflect the existence of a cohesive model or a model of gram village administration in India. So, it is mentioned in Rig Veda. The Samiti was a Vedic folk assembly that in some cases enjoyed the right to electing the king, while the Sabha exercised some judicial functions. Both the Samiti and Sabha enjoyed right to debate privileges unknown to the popular assemblies of the ancient people. The office of the village headman indicates the emergence of the village as a unit of administration. In later Vedic period, the Samiti disappeared as a popular assembly, while Sabha sank into a narrow body corresponding to king's privy councils. So, what I mean to say you that Sabha Samitis were the first institutionalization of village administration prevalent in Rig Vedic period or in early Vedic period. In course of time, village bodies took the form of panchayat that looked into the affairs of the village. They had the power to enforce law and order, customs, religion, and elevated them to the sacred position of authority. So, this is the account of the panchayats that were in existence. Remember that more focus was attributed to village administration during ancient time because of the lack of effective transport and communication, and there was no proper channels for dissemination of information from bottom to top. So, the king could have effective control over the states only on effective organization of the village administrations. So, in Mauryan period, village was basic unit of administrations. villagers used to engage, organize works of public utility, recreation, settle disputes. Okay, so that was the prominent there. There are also village councils in Mauryan period. They were known as Panchamandalas or Grama Janapadas in several parts of India. These bodies negotiated government for concession and settlement of dispute. The inscription of Cholo dynasty shows the construction and function of the village assembly and their executive community also. The village administration were to be performed by the elected representatives from the village council. So Cholo dynasty in South India also mentions about the existence of village administration. During the medieval period, this is the account of your ancient times. During medieval period, efforts were made during the Mughal period also. Village bodies were the pivot of village administration. In the Mughal period, particularly in the regime of Sher Shah, the villages were governed by their own panchayats. Each panchayat comprised of village elders who looked after the interest of the people and administered justice and imposed punishment on defaulters. The headman of the village, a coordinator between the village panchayat and the higher administrative hierarchy. So prominence was given to peerites. Prominence were given to peerites during Mughal period. Each panchayat comprised of village elders who looked after the interest of the people and administered justice and imposed punishment on the defaulters. Even Akbar accepted this system and made it an indispensable part of civil administration. In his period, each village had its own panchayat of elders. It was autonomous in its own in sphere, exercise control over local taxation, administrative control, and justice and punishment. Hence, we can say Mughal introduced elaborate administrative machinery with a hierarchy of officials, particularly in the field of revenue. The Mughal local administrative system lasted over centuries. It was with the collapse of Mughal stronghold, the British established hegemony. So, Mughal period is an account of successful local institutions in India, rather than count the British period or the colonial period. British came to India as traders and before long established an inroad into the cultural inexuousness of the land, cultural nexuses of the land. The primary focus of the British Raj was most to do with trade and little to do with the governance and development. The local government were hardly their first priority. In fact, till the advent of British rule in India, the rural republic had flourished and thrived. So we can say with the coming or with the advent of the Europeans, especially the English or the British, there was a full stop to the rural republic or rural administration in India. British had not paid much attention to the decentralization process, and it did not pay any attention or due attention to the establishment of local self-government in India. With the emergence of British Raj in India, panchayats ceased to play a role that it once played. That is a good sentence, with the emergence of the British Raj, in India, panchayats ceased to play a role that it once played. That is a good sentence. That it once played. So the downfall or the decline of Panchayat Raj institutions or local administration began during the British period, as they came to India with the sole motive of trade and commerce, so they did not put much emphasis on the governance system or on the administration system. In initial days, the interest of the British was limited to the creation of local bodies with nominated members. These bodies were built around trading centers. In 1687, the British government set up the first municipal corporation, and in the model of town council, this was empowered to levy taxes for building guild halls and schools. Similar bodies were set up in other major towns also, and the model continued to comprise nominated members with no elected elements whatsoever. Then Lord Mayo's resolution of 1870, Lord Mayo's resolution of 1870 introduced elected representatives, introduced the concept of, so we are moving across the historical scenario into the concept of elected representatives. Elected representatives in the urban municipalities. So that can be a steady beginning, can be a healthy beginning in the institutionalizations of local self-government. The 1857 had put the imperial finance under considerable strain, and it is found that it is necessary to finance local service out of local taxation. Therefore, it was out of fiscal compulsion that Lord Mayor's resolution of decentralization came to adopt it. So fiscal compulsion means revenue strains emerged in the post 1857 revolt. Made the government, British government, implement Mayo's so it was not a you can say it is not a genuine beginning, rather it was a beginning under compulsion, because the 1857 revolt had shattered the British economy, had pauperized the British treasury, it had spent the money on controlling or on waging the battle against the Indians in 1857. So it can be called a small but sturdy, STURDY, sturdy beginning in the history of local self-government. Okay. Now let us look at the beginning of the Act, Bengal Chaukidari Act. Bengal Chaukidari Act. That is the beginning who felt the need to decentralize manure to bring about administrative efficiency in the year 1870. I introduced the concept of elected representative in the urban municipality, the revolt of 1807. Then Bengal 1870 marked the beginning of the revival of traditional village panchayats. 1870. The Bengal Chaukidar Act was made by the Central Legislative Council, and it made the salutary remarkable contribution to the development of local government. The Chaukidar Act empowered the district magistrate to set up the village to set up panchayats of nominated members in the village, to collect taxes to pay the chaukidars or watchmen engaged by them. So that was the purpose. Then, so that is the present, you can say the beginning of the revival of the traditional village panchayati system. Then came the much awaited Ripon resolution, Lord Ripon resolution on local self-government of 1882. Ripon's resolution had tremendous contribution, a remarkable contribution towards the development of it is a landmark in the structural evolution of local government. It is a landmark or a milestone in the structural evolution of local governments. It consists for a local board which will consist of which will be comprised of non-official members and presided over by non-official chairpersons. This is considered to be a Magna Carta, because it is the beginning of autonomy. It is the beginning of autonomy of local self-government. Hence, Ripon Resolution of 1882 considered to be a Magna Carta in the got it. So, he brought in the concept of self-government in urban municipalities, treated as the founding father of urban local governments. Ripon's resolution followed a series of committees, commissions and acts in this line. The Royal Commission and then was made. So, Ripon is therefore called father of local self-government for his salutary contribution to the towards the autonomous functioning of PRIs and municipalities in India. All the steps, meager steps were taken, and it is not as independent as we see today, but it was the beginning. Hence Ripon is called father of local self-government in India, and Ripon resolution is considered to be a Magna Carta or the beginning of the Panchayat Raj working of the history of Panchayat Raj institutions. So, after the Ripon's resolution, many committees, commissions and acts were enacted. One of them is Royal Commission on Decentralization 1909, elaborated further principle of resolution, but this remained merely on paper. Ripon's scheme did not make much progress in the development of local self-government in India. So, there was a Royal Commission on Decentralization also in 1909, but they could not prove, it could not prove useful, and so also the Ripons. In Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act, in Montagu-Chelmsford Reforms Act, or popularly known as Government of India Act, Montagu-Chelmsford, Reform Act divided the subject into transferred subject and reserved subject by institutionalizing diarchy. And under the transferred subject, the local self-government was mentioned and it fell under the provincial government. So, local subject for the first time became a subject in the legislative list, that is under the transferred list under the diarchy system in India. That kind of thing you have to remember. Another benchmark is the Government of India Act 1935. This is considered as another important stage in evolution of Panchayat Raj. With popularly elected government in the provinces, almost all provincial administration felt duty bound to enact legislation for further democratization of local government institutions, including village panchayats. And although the popular government in the provinces governed by the Congress vacated office following the declaration of Second World War 1939, the position as regards the local government institution remained unchanged till 1947, when the country attained independence. So, although there is some visible development during the British period, especially in the post-Ripon period, but you cannot compare the local institution or democratic institution as it is present today with that of the institutions or local institutions prevalent during the British period. However, a small step is also in the right direction can prove to be a big success, and it happened so also. Even though the British government did not have interest in the village autonomy, they were forced to do so in order to continue their rule in India, and moreover to meet their financial necessity. So, financial necessity and the objective to continue their rule in India, British had been forcibly been to establish the local government in India. Okay, the Indian rural republic had flourished till the advent of British. It received a setback during the British rule. Self-contained village communities and their panchayats ceased to get substance. They were replaced by formally constituted institution of village administrations. In the highly centralized system of British rule, village community could not seems to have lost. So, decentralization is anathema to unitary government. In a centralized government, there will be no decentralization, but it happens in case of federal settings, large India is having or India is being put under it. So, there will be division of power, less reduction in the powers of the central government or the higher authority, and the power will be transmitted to the locals or the people. Okay. So, these are the things about the history of Panchayat Raj in India. Now, we shall focus on history of Panchayat Raj in post-independent period. The task of strengthening Panchayat Raj system fell on the Indian government formed after independence. It was clear that India is a country of villages. It is said that about 70% of the population live in village and village areas. So, India lives in a village. Mahatma Gandhi, who strongly believed in Gramya Swaraj or village autonomy, pleaded for the transfer of powers to the rural masses. According to him, villages should govern themselves through elected panchayats to become self-sufficient. But surprisingly, in the draft constitution prepared in 1948 at no place for Panchayat Raj institution, Gandhi severely criticized this and called for limited attention. It is thus that Panchayat finds a place in the DPSP principle of the state policy. So, that is, and the constitution has not place for Panchayat Raj institutions. It was much against the Gandhian ideology because Gandhi was a protagonist of or a votary of village autonomy. He put emphasis on the development of village and establishment of village republic, where all the people of the village should participate in deciding their course of action or their existence. So, post independent was also a very belated beginning, and it was there. And towards the end of the draft, Article 40 was concluded to be an article to deal with peer rights. So, that is also a case. And now, Article 40 contains the provision. Article 40 contains the provisions for granting more and power and authority to village panchayats to enable them to success or to function as an autonomous unit of administration. Article 40 is considered a Gandhian principle in Indian constitution under directive principle of state policy. It is the only article that talks about Panchayat Raj system in India. There is no other mention about Panchayat Raj system before 1976. Okay. The most important aspect to strengthen grassroots democracy was neglected by the constitution maker, as DPSP is not legally enforceable. So, then came the independence. Panchayat Raj especially deals with the development of rural India, and the first rural development program that was enacted in the country to tackle the problems of rural India like poverty, malnutrition, higher MMR, higher low there is IMR responsible for the panchayats, for the development programs. Hence, the government of India launched community development program, community development program 1952 and National Extension Service NES 1953. These programs were based on integrated approach to various aspects of rural development. Integrated approach means durable development should take place. So, it is an integrated approach. Integrated approach in the country to the various aspects, approach to the various aspects of rural development. So, that is the objective of this thing. We have to perform self-help and self-reliance among the rural people to generate process of integrated socio-economic cultural change with the aim of transferring social and political life of the villagers. Community development program was launched in 58 blocks initially in selected blocks. The program was based on an integrated approach to various aspects of rural development. The program was made provisions for appointing block development officers and also the village level workers. This program was workers immediately to bring socio-economic development. And to review these commissions, to review the effect of or the impact of these prominent rural development programs in India, whether they have been successful in eradicating poverty, in meeting the challenges of the rural economy, and if they are doing justice to them. Okay, that is called the third. So, with a view to reviewing the efficacy or the impact of the CDP and NES, okay. So, to review the working of the community development program and NES, National Extension Service, the Government of India appointed a committee on democratic Okay, so that was the purpose why various committees were appointed in the post independent period. It is a long road, or you can say it is a long time frame under which in which various committees were set up to add points to towards strengthening the rural economy and rural lifestyle in India. So, the first committee on democratic decentralizations, or we call it Panchayat Raj, was appointed under the chairmanship of Balwant Rai Mehta in 1957. Remember, its objective was to evolve the matter. Okay. So that is all about it. In the next class we shall be dealing with the various committees, associated with seamless various committees associated with seamless okay. So various committees were associated with the evolution of PRIs. Committees like Ashok Mehta committee, we can take the note of that. Ashok Mehta committee, that is you can say Ashok Mehta committee. Ashok Mehta committee. And we can say GBK Rao committee. Number 4, Thangan committee. There are various committees. PK Thangan committee. Number 5, LM Singhvi committee. Number 6, BN Gadgil committee. So these were the prominent committees that were set up in India after independence with the objective to add measures or recommend measures towards strengthening the rural economy and rural autonomy. I told you कि village autonomy or autonomy granted to village units is an essential requirement. Unless people at the grassroots level are aware about the developmental function of the government and the grassroots level, they cannot be an effective popular voice for or against the government. Hence, every civilized country tries to put focus on the empowerment of village administration or empowerment of villagers. So today we have an independent constitutional scheme of arrangement for local self-government, not only rural but also in urban areas. Okay, thanks to the effort of the Prime Minister P.V. Narasimha Rao, who began constitutional status, it took a very historic step in this regard. Okay, so this is your things. In the next class we shall be starting with your village panchayats, Balwant Rai Mehta committee, Ashok Mehta committee, and others. Okay. So, let me close the class today. In the next class, we shall be starting from the committees related to local self-government in India. Thank you very much for watching us. Continue to watch us. Continue to watch us regularly. We are providing free classes. We are providing free classes to the OCS aspirants in this regard. So, this is a very important. This is a very important endeavor of BANIC, the mega institution. So, stay tuned to our YouTube classes and be positive in your minds, and always try to use the time in the best manner possible. Stay safe, stay secured, and stay prepared. Thank you very much to all of you.